As service providers, the language we use when communicating with survivors of domestic and sexual violence has a big impact on how safe, effective, and inclusive the services we provide are. It's vital to understand and use culturally competent, inclusive language during interactions with survivors, colleagues, and other service providers. Regardless of your current understanding, Dash can help you build a strong foundation to create inclusive, safe spaces for all survivors. Domestic and sexual violence occurs across the gender and sexuality spectrum. LGBTQIA2S+ individuals experience equal or even higher rates of domestic violence, which means you are likely to encounter survivors within that community. However, the lack of awareness of systemic and community biases means that these survivors often go overlooked and underserved. Commonly, survivors state that they do not feel welcome to access services because they are not inclusive of relationships that fall within the LGBTQIA2S+ spectrum. Domestic violence looks different in every relationship. It's important to screen correctly, as abuse can often impact members of the LGBTQIA2S+ community in ways that are often overlooked or misunderstood by service providers. This acronym includes a wide spectrum, plus the limitless sexual orientations and gender identities in the community, including but not limited to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and two-spirited. However, these terms are fluid and not all-encompassing. Some people use queer to serve as an umbrella term for all these identities. Not all members of the LGBTQIA2S+ community are comfortable with the word queer, and it's a closed term, meaning that those who do not belong to the community need permission to use the word queer. Always listen for and respect the words a person uses to identify themselves. One way to do this is by understanding and using a person's pronouns. The LGBT Foundation defines pronouns as words we use to refer to people when we're not talking directly to them, and used instead of names in conversation. There are many different sets of pronouns, some of which may be more familiar than others. All pronouns deserve to be respected and used in all communication regarding a survivor, even when they're not present. When working one-on-one with survivors, you can create a safe space to share by offering your pronouns when you introduce yourself. It's up to the survivor when, where, and how they choose to share information about their gender and sexuality, including pronouns. Service providers have a responsibility to respect the survivor's boundaries by not making assumptions or pressuring them to disclose. Some people use multiple sets of pronouns or even none, and you never know unless someone tells you directly. If obtaining certain information is a required procedure, it's best practice to inform the survivor why you are asking for the information. In safe settings, you might simply ask, "Do you use any pronouns?" An individual might reveal their identity over time, or their pronouns and identity might change. Stay open to new information, and be aware and respectful of any changes shared with you. It's never too late to offer space for survivors to share. Just remember that some people won't feel comfortable disclosing initially or at all. Even with commitment and consistency, mistakes will happen. If you make a mistake, such as using incorrect pronouns or making assumptions about someone's gender, apologize promptly. Thank them if they corrected you. Correct the mistake and move on quickly. Feel empowered to correct other individuals as well if they misgender survivors. One way to be intentionally inclusive is to include information and imagery that offers representation of the diversity found in the LGBTQIA2S+ community, both online and in person. Additionally, your intake forms should include questions for gender identity, pronouns, and sexual orientation. Inquiries regarding sex assigned at birth should only be asked when the information is medically relevant and necessary to provide quality care to the survivor. Ask for a chosen name first. Reassure the survivor that their chosen name will be honored as much as possible, and, when applicable, help prepare them for instances in which the use of their legal name, sometimes referred to as a dead name, might be used. Offer to connect the survivor to legal services if they would like to pursue changing their name. Since disclosure carries risk, every measure should be taken to maintain privacy and confidentiality. Survivors should be told that the information they give is confidential and, either within the confines of the law or ethics, will not be revealed to anyone without their permission. This video is not exhaustive. but it serves as a first step to building a foundational understanding of how to support all survivors. But there's much more to learn about the best way to support the queer community, specifically queer survivors, so be dedicated to learning more over time. If you or someone you know is in need of crisis support, help is available by contacting Dash at referral@dc.org or 202-462-3274 to connect with a trauma-informed advocate.